I'm in the background dancing because I have to like start dancing because the music's already playing. So I have to like go in dancing. Happy Tuesday. As all of you could probably repeat back to me, my favorite day of the week. Happy Tuesday, all. Thank you for watching and for joining us and always being some vivid followers who I adore. Thank you so much for being here and for always supporting us as per always. It is my favorite day of the week because I get to share the screen with I was going to say imaginary. My goodness, imaginary people. They're real. I don't know why I said that. I meant to say amazing, which is my normally favorite word, right? So happy Tuesday. Thank you for joining us. Christine Lopez, I see you. Good evening. It is an exciting day. I'm super pumped to be here because we are talking about a subject that I know is super big for lots and lots of people. Hello to Michael Maya. I see you. Jackie, my love shouldn't hurt co-star in our documentary. Thank you everyone for being here and for joining us. It is Tuesday. It is February, people. Happy February, the month of love, Black History Month, and so many amazing things. Last week when we were here, we spoke about so many different topics. Hello, Carmen. I sat with about 20 people and asked them, what do you want to talk about? And we got into so many different topics. It was such a great and amazing show. And I was excited to have so many people interact with our guests. So thank you once again for being here, for just joining us, and just always being amazing audience members. As per always, let's remind ourselves why we are here. Obviously, because love shouldn't hurt. We focus on domestic violence, people. And if you, someone you love, someone you know, a coworker, a loved one, a friend, a family member, or yourself is dealing with domestic violence, remember that you can reach out to the National Domestic Violence Hotline. There is a hotline in Philadelphia, but we'd love to put up the National Domestic Violence Hotline because I have no idea where you're watching from. You can reach them at 1-800-799-7233. You can reach us at all of our social media platforms as well as our website, loveshouldnothurt.com. If myself or someone from my team cannot get to you immediately and you are in desperate need of help, remember that 911 should always be called first. This evening, tonight, we are speaking about red flags, people. So many people deal with red flags and we do not acknowledge that they are big warning signs of what lead up to domestic violence. And I'm joined tonight by another Fierra Latina, who I always say, because I think that all of our women deserve to be given flowers. This amazing woman has been a part of my life forever and always has interesting conversations. And she so happens to be our guest tonight because this was the discussion we just had. So I'm excited, as per always, to bring on the amazing Evelyn Ramos to join me on the screen. Hey, boo.
Hi, boo.
How are you feeling tonight, my love?
I'm feeling really good. Thank you. I'm ready to go.
Really pretty in your nice little yellow room.
Thank you. I was trying to set the mood. I put a plant.
Oh, look at that. I was gonna talk about that. I was gonna say your plants are like blossoming back there. Your plant mom. I kill my plants.
Yeah, we know. We'll talk about that later.
Okay, another topic for another night. So red flags, listen, super important. Bad idea. Bad idea for me to have them. It's a super important topic. Red flags are something that people never see. As total transparency, I am a huge person who never sees the red flags. And I think that maybe at some point we all at the beginning do not see the red flags because we're always going into relationships with, as they say, rose-colored glasses, right? Everything is beautiful at the beginning. And as you girls reminded me the other day, we walk into these relationships at the beginning and everybody has their representative, right? They always have somebody that, you know, they're not really who they are. You don't really get to know who people are until like months down the line. So why did you say yes? I always love to ask people why they want to join me because, you know, people do say no. So why did you say yes to join me tonight?
Well, I actually wondered, like initially, I'm like, why would she want me? But then I thought about our conversation the other day. And I was thinking, you know what? Everybody needs someone in their life to tell them when they're not making a decision because we're caught up in the moment. And I realized, you know what? Maybe this could be a moment for someone else to hear you and I talk about it, to have someone who's removed, tell them when things just aren't going the way they should be going and they're not in a good situation or they're not safe. And I thought, even if we just use this as an opportunity to just kind of talk again, there's the potential for someone out there to really receive this message.
Absolutely.
So that's why I did it. I mean, even if one person is affected by this, I feel like then we have a big one.
Right, absolutely. You know, people talk about red flags, and the first thing they think about is, oh my God, I got into a bad relationship, and the red flags were all there, and I ignored them. But, you know, with looking at, you know, we were talking about this before we came on, looking at different things inside of social media and society and just the world right now. There's so many things with red flags that we don't see in friendships and relationships and mental health. You know, just seeing all of the news surrounding, you know, the former Miss USA, and maybe red flags that could have went off, you know, for people to see that, you know, she was dealing with some sort of mental health. So I think red flags are something that is huge, and I think that we should pay attention to them, especially in domestic violence as well, you know, because a lot of the potential red flags of how dangerous the person is, how narcissistic or abusive they already are, we could know at the beginning, but we are going in with rose-colored glasses and we don't want to see them,
Yep.
which is something that, you know, I thought was super important. So I sent you a list of like a million different examples of
Mhm.
what red flags are, and there's probably hundreds and thousands of them, right? But these are just examples for us to kind of look at and just different discussion topics, because I think it's super super important to talk about it tonight. So I guess my first discussion point, right, is why is it that we ignore the red flags? Like, what is it about us that makes us want to ignore them? I know why mine's were, right? I know why sometimes I've ignored them. But I want to get your perspective on why you think people ignore the red flags.
Well, I think in relationships where you're dating someone, you do it because there's a deep desire sometimes to there. It could be several things, right? You can be like, I've been single long enough. I want to make this work. I am tired of dating. I'm going to figure out how to make this work, right?
Mhm.
There could be like, I've had so many bad relationships. I just want it to be done. There can also be like when we start to fool ourselves into thinking, well, the good outweighs the bad, right? But it really depends on what the bad is versus what the good is. So if the bad is, a person who tends to leave their socks all over the house, maybe that might be a bad for some of us. But if that bad is, oh, he just pushed me once.
Yeah.
If that bad is, like our list, he's always bad talking his ex-girlfriend. Oh, well, she probably had it coming. We might ignore that and come up with excuses for it. And you included friendships. Friendships are not that different from relationships.
Yeah.
You are deeply connected to these people. So you're overlooking these things because there's so many other good qualities that they possess. So I can go ahead and get over this.
Yeah.
But really what it is, it's also this deep rooted desire for us to find a connection with people. And that desire to find connection makes us just not use our judgment right. And I think it's really difficult to be able to differentiate when you are in something that's healthy and unhealthy, when you also come from a history of unhealthy.
Yeah.
And we have some traumatic experiences of when we were kids from our own families where we thought, well, this is just how mommy treated papi, and this is just how titi treated Theo, or Theo treated titi. It's normal. It's not till you get older that you realize actually these were really traumatic events and they're not normal.
Yeah.
It's not okay to be drunk all the time.
Yeah.
It's not okay to push people around. It wasn't okay for Titi to push Theo because it's not always men with women. So it's so many different factors that play into some of the decisions that we make.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Mhm.
So I always try my best to try to get us some sort of like understanding or eye opener to get the discussion going. And I think Steve Harvey, I follow, like I'm like in his face like every day, like looking at his Instagram, his Facebook, everything, because you know he is a comedian and he does say funny things, but a lot of the things that he says are on point. I don't know if you've ever sat and watched his show, like his guests are on point because he's very like, he reminds me of a lot of the people in my circle. I'm gonna say names. Where you guys are like mad blunt, like, oh yeah, you stupid, like you don't understand that, you don't see that. So I always reach out to like look at Steve Harvey and see what topics we can kind of relate to. So I have a video, I have two of them. We're going to play the first one so we can talk about it. Steve Harvey had a guest on and they are talking about relationship red flags, and it's so funny because as I say, I'm always transparent. I always say I speak from a first person because I can't speak for other folks. So I watched all of these videos that we have for tonight and I was like, oh my God, so me. So we're going to watch this and we're going to have a discussion on it. So let's see this first clip from Steve Harvey.
Ideal man to have?
I want someone I like 6 foot, I like tall, and I do like spiritual. I am spiritual. Driven, ambitious, funny. Humor is so big to me. And they have a little edge to them, a little badness to them.
A little bad?
A little bad, but not too much bad. Oh. Oh, no.
Women just go, who the hell is that? have any of your ex-boyfriends been this 6 foot tall, spiritual, fun, very humorous person that's bad?
No, they've all had that little edge of the past, but not anything else.
They've just been bad.
Just a little bad.
So
Mom and Dad, I'm sorry.
So you just need a man to check off one thing on your list.
No, that's why I'm here.
Bad boys are bad. Here's why so many women think that they're a magnet for bad men. Okay, let's look at our red flag number 1. You get the guy who's successful and tall and bad, which is what you want, but it's not what you actually need to find long-term happiness, right? If he doesn't meet your big must-haves, like, for example, committing to you and only you, being emotionally available, whatever your have-to-haves are, if he doesn't meet those, throw him back to the pond. I can tell you with certainty that a great partner for you is kind, loyal, generous, and he makes you feel safe. He makes you his priority, and he takes the butterflies out of your stomach, which is why feeling butterflies is red flag number 2. Ladies, I'm telling you, those butterflies are your body telling you to run. Run, okay? Listen, having butterflies in your stomach, especially after the first date, probably mean that your gut, your intuition is telling you that something is wrong. And unfortunately, we human beings, we often mistake fear for excitement. So if your stomach is flipping over and churning, it probably means that your gut is saying, fear, anxiety, there's danger ahead, and you should hightail out of there.
Yes.
So, I mean, has that ever happened to you? Like, you meet a guy and you go, oh, and you feel jittery?
Absolutely, and I feel like this excitement. I'm just like, oh, this is great. This is it. This could be it.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably infatuation. When you meet a person, you can't go, this could be it. Because ladies, then you let your heart take over and you stop thinking. Once your heart get involved, y'all in trouble. Because if a man says something, you just want to believe it. So what are your plans? One day I want to have a family. I like to have some kids. I want to build a home somewhere in the mountains. And you go, oh my God, he wants a family. He wants to build a house in the mountains. Me too.
Yes.
And all that's wonderful. The only problem is he didn't say he wanted to do none of that with you. He didn't mention your name, not Anton. And now you have the problem that we always have. We got to take a quick break.
I'm laughing because as I'm watching the video, I see your expression in the background and you're like,
you know, because you can tell, you know what I thought was really interesting out of all of the things that they said, you could tell she got a little emotional when she said that you should find someone that makes her happy. It was almost like she didn't expect to hear that, which that just struck me. I felt bad for her. Like she didn't think she deserved to hear that.
well, that's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
All of these red flags happen, and most of the people, inclusive of myself, don't feel like we deserve to have goodness, right? So we ignore those red flags because honestly, a lot of the reasons why, like Steve said, like you hear all these beautiful things, right? Like I'll use myself because I always do. I'll start with the first thing, right? The first thing, which was mix match core values. Was that not a part of our conversation?
It really was. It was. It was because it was like the things I knew that mattered to you. And it was being with family, being with friends, feeling connected, having celebrations, having people over, doing things with them. That means something to you.
It does.
And when I got an inkling that this may not mean as much to the other person, I was like, I know this means a lot to you, though. That's going to come up later. It may not feel, and again, it's going back to what he says, right? You're ignoring it because you're in love or you're feeling it. But I was like, that's going to come up later when the fog lifts and you realize that is actually very important to you.
It is. And then we make excuses for it. So it's like, well, Why isn't he present when we're at parties? And why isn't he present when we're having holidays? And why isn't he present when we're doing this? And it's always, oh, he doesn't do this, or he doesn't stuff like that, or he's not a part of that, or it's okay. But really deep down, it's not okay. And it was never okay. Because you know me well enough to know that, I love to be with people. Like, I am someone who loves on people. Like, I want to hug you all day. I want you to be a part of every memory with me. I want to continue to make memories. I want my family to be a part of you. I want everything to be a part of you. And then when I did all these things alone, it was like, damn, I am reliving the past of my life. And this is why I tell people every time they watch this show that my life is a learning process, even at 40, 41, 39, 38. It is still a growing process because I'm still learning to try to find the real like love out there that I need. And when I say love that I need, it's because all this time I've never been looking for the love that I need or I deserved. I was just looking for a love that was there because I wanted to have someone in that place.
I agree. And I also think what's super important is you have to find the love for yourself first. So when you enter into these relationships, you have set a boundary for what you will and will not accept because you know your worth and you know your value. So you want someone who comes in and adds to what's already been created and solidified, right? And you cannot go out and look for someone to be what brings it to your life. They need to add it to your life. And that's a huge thing, I think, for a lot of people. I'm looking at a comment because something that stuck out for me, and it seems that I'm not the only one, was the thing he said about butterflies. I wish they would have talked about that a little bit more because I thought the same thing. I'm like, butterflies are good if it's a good reason, but I think that they probably meant if you have already started to see red flags that make you nervous and maybe you're ignoring it. But I was thinking about that, like butterflies can be a good thing, right? It could be that you had a really great meeting or you just want to make sure the next one goes great. But I think that it does go hand in hand with some of the things when you start to ignore signs.
Yeah. I thought it was a good video just because a lot of times when I do these shows, not a lot of times, all the time when I do these shows, I always make sure that I don't speak for other people. I can't speak for what you feel, what Jessica feels, what anybody feels. I have to speak for what I feel. I have to speak from first person. So when I look at these videos and I'm talking about certain subjects, I'm like, whoa, that's me. Oh my God, that's me. And yes, I did that. And I realize it because there's so many red flags throughout friendships, throughout family, throughout so many of my relationships, especially my abusive relationships that I ignored. And you don't realize it in the moment. When you're like they say, love is blind. You don't realize it in the moment. You don't realize that these things are so toxic and they're so hurtful. You just go on with them. The butterflies thing actually made me laugh. When I watched it, I was laughing because I thought of my very first, even in my most recent relationship, my very first meeting with that person. And besides the butterflies, because I felt it the whole time, but it was for me not butterflies that day because I was like, oh my God, he's great. It really was. I really was nervous. And I really was like, oh my God, because this person put so much in front of me. This is who I am. And I'm this person and I'm that person. And I felt like, oh my God, am I going to meet up to that standard? Am I going to be able to like be that person that they want me to be? I also thought about the first thing and the core values and things like that. I totally put that aside, everything that were my core values. And now that it's over and the relationship is done and we had that conversation, I didn't even think about that because honestly, Jessica, there's a comment in there that says, because you were making excuses about where he was and that was not acceptable. And the craziness is I didn't realize it in the moment. In the moment when you guys would say, well, where is this person? And why isn't this person around? Which was the same thing with my daughter's father. Why isn't this person around? At that time, I knew why I was making excuses. Now, currently, I had no idea. To me, it was just, oh no, he doesn't celebrate anything. And, it was no big deal. And now I realize these things were important to me. Like I did want someone there and I love Christmas. I love Valentine's Day. I love holidays and I love to be with people. And to do it alone, it was like, it's better to be by yourself than feel like you're in a relationship and still alone.
Yeah, I think maybe, and it could harken back to the desire that you were ready you wanted to be in a relationship. And there were other parts that this person possessed that you did enjoy and like. So that was once again doing like a weighing the good with the bad, but not realizing that the bad definitely seemed, not the bad, the obvious signs that you guys weren't a good match outweighed that you were a good match. And you chose to ignore it, but it happens to all of us. I think one of my favorite things to say to friends, and a friend had recently said it to me, is just be kind to yourself because this is a journey. You know, it's a marathon. You know, we have to take our time to get through it. We've all been there and we've all ignored it. And it's easier. It's way easier when you're on the outside looking in, because we're not blinded by emotion and love and wanting this person in the way that the other person does. So we can see them for who they are. And so it's difficult though to receive that when you are really, really trying your best to find the good in that person.
Yeah, it is difficult. So some of the red flags that I sent you that were things that I found and got from other people. They push your physical boundaries in innocent ways. They rush a new relationship forward too quickly. I saw that so many times when I was looking at red flags, and it stood out to me because I was like, wow, I never even noticed that. And now that I think back on a lot of my relationships, you know, the person that I was engaged to, and then the person prior to that, and the person recently, it was like the relationship happened really quickly. You moved in really, really fast. And like everything was just, no, it's great. We can move in together. It'll be fine. And you know, with the person I was engaged to, it was like, yes, let's go. Let's have a family. Let's move in. And it was like, slow down, you know? But because I wanted it, I allowed it to happen. Like, you know, the person that I was engaged to, I was not ready to move in with that person. I was like, I need to get to know you better. I need to know more. But it was like, come on, come on, come on, come on. And other red flags of never around your family, like never around your family. Like, why are you never around your family? And why is your circle like non-existent? Why am I your only person? Me, I don't deal with, you deal with just me. There's just, you don't have friends. I felt like I was out there searching for friends for that person so that they wouldn't put so much on me. Like, you have to be here. You have to be home. You have to be in the space. I felt like I was like forced into this relationship. But again, I wanted a relationship. So I was like, it's okay. Everything is fine. And it was just very out of the ordinary.
And I think it speaks because of their inability to create emotional connections with people. So they latch onto you. So they and that speaks again volumes, right? If you can't have friends in your life, it's because something is missing, that you are unavailable and unable to maintain those relationships. But there's like this opening with dating because you're like, oh, I've got them in here. I've got love on my side with this person. And so it's kind of, you latch on to that. So I think that that's really interesting. I think also what I found interesting that I found on my own was there's like a history of infidelity. And I think it's on your list too. There's a history of talking smack about your exes.
Yeah.
And I think that's huge, right? Because if you date someone who is really comfortable talking about really, really poorly talking about an ex, for me, that's like, well, then there's the chance that that could one day be me. Yeah. What are you telling other people about me when and if we end, or if we have an argument? I just think that there should never be a situation where, even if that ended really, really badly, you don't talk badly about them. Maybe you share that story with your partner later so that they can get a full picture. But when you meet people who are like, oh, she was such a bitch, or he was an asshole, and you're like, maybe they were, but man, you shared that with me pretty quick. And I'm not comfortable with that.
And constantly bringing that up. And the history of infidelity. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a huge red flag, that sometimes we get with people and we know that they've cheated in the past, like over and over and over and over again. But we like think we can fix them and it'll change. And I'll be the exception to that. It won't happen to me. And it's like, girl.
And how about though, when they're never the bad person in the story?
Oh, always it's always, they lied to you.
They lied to you. They didn't understand. They were obsessed with me. They didn't understand. They're never the bad guy in the story. Yeah. And I'm sorry, we're all capable of being the bad guy in the story. It's how you present it and how you discuss it. But that's a huge one, where how come you're never taking ownership of anything that could have possibly gone wrong with that?
Absolutely. I like that one. Let's see what the 3, 4, and 5 red flags were with Steve Harvey.
Back with dating coach, my buddy Bella Gandhi, who's breaking down the most common relationship red flags. And these are red flags that women have a tendency to ignore. So, Bella, where do you want to go from here?
Here's red flag number 3. If you go out on a first date with someone who then immediately wants to see you the next day and the next day and the next day, and he's blowing up your phone, talking about the future, here's the problem. You may not be dealing with a man who is actually head over heels for you. You might just be dealing with someone who is emotionally unavailable, or worse, narcissistic. Most of the time, someone who comes on too fast and furious will probably flame out just as quickly.
Yeah.
On the first several dates, keep the date to about 90 minutes. And if you're having that great of a time, great. It means you'll both be looking forward to the next date even more because you've left wanting more.
Wow. What are you thinking when you hear that, Grace?
I'm thinking recently, I've been on a date that lasted 6 hours. And we were talking and having fun and drinking and laughing. And fast forward to months now, and it's on his term. It's dodgy. Like, he texts me when he wants to text me. And
Well, but you know, what Bella's saying is true. You got to be careful about a guy that comes on with everything. He can't keep that pace up, ladies. In 90 days, he'll show you who he is. That leads me to the fourth red flag. What do you got?
The fourth red flag is related to something you just mentioned earlier, dodgy. The word is inconsistency. If a man goes from texting you all the time, taking you out consistently, calling you, but suddenly he's now too busy, right? He doesn't call you. He doesn't text you as much. He doesn't take you out as much. His feelings have changed. Nobody is too busy to call or to see someone.
Nobody.
Ever, right? If they like you, they will find a way to be with you. They say a man that wants to be with you will move mountains to be with you. And like I said earlier, a good partner is reliable. So if he shows you otherwise and doesn't pull it together even after you've communicated this to him, it's time to cut bait, throw him back to the pond, and move on.
Wow. You ain't been doing none of this, have you? I can tell by the way you leave. You go, oh my God.
I gotta go.
I haven't done any of this. This is horrible.
She's like,
I got to go back to school. Yeah. All right, Bella, we got time for one more. What's the last red flag?
so many people don't pay attention to how their date phrases things and talks about certain things. So here's number 5. He's negative. When a man leads and he tells you with what he's not looking for or what he's not attracted to, again, he is telling you and showing you exactly who he is. A negative person, maybe also an angry person who hasn't worked on himself or his past relationship issues.
So, Grace, how you feeling after hearing all this? Can you spot red flags?
I absolutely think I can. I think that you're extremely wise, and I need to concrete and tattoo all this information in my head. And I think the 90-minute date is a plus. I mean, it's something I really need to stick with as well. And
You know, I never thought of that, but it's really kind of slick, though. You want to have a guy thirsty. You want to have a guy looking for you in the daytime with a flashlight? Do that right there.
That's good.
Do that. Do that and see what happens. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. Man, when that man finally gets you, he going to treat it all together different, man. That's just how it works. Grace, thank you for being here.
Leads with negativity. That's huge, too, for me. I have dated so many men who, we just said it, we just talked about it before we got into the video, who start the relationship with just saying negative, negative, negative. And I'm sitting there like, damn, you dated a lot of bad women, or like, what's happening? Like every person that they were with was just a terrible person. They were horrible. You know, when you get into an argument, well, that's why I didn't work out with her. I won't work out with you because of the same thing. And you're all crazy and you're both stubborn. And it's like, so everybody was wrong and you were just good? Yeah. Like everything was good?
Yeah. It goes back to that accountability thing. It's like that same thing of when you start to notice they never take accountability for their own behaviors and their own actions.
Yeah. Negative people hate themselves long before they hate you. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. And we're talking, why do men change after getting the woman they want? That, you know, I can't answer this question because that's a great question. And these are always like just topics we like to have, the open discussions. But, you know, that is a good question. And I think it's fair to say, honestly, though, that all of these topics can go for men and women. Because I think that there's a lot of women out there who are just as vile as the men are, who go in for it negatively and who have just a mindset of negativity when they're going in, and they know what they're doing, because like domestic violence, it happens with women and men, same-sex partners. It always happens full
Yeah.
circle with both sexes. I
But
think, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think too, I wonder if there's an opportunity within that statement to see if there were red flags ignored. You know, maybe there were opportunities for you to see in that man that he was telling you things he expected from you and you kind of adhered to and did it. And maybe it was like, oh man, there was an opportunity missed with that too. I think, yeah, like you're addressing it with women and men, but I also think this is a really good opportunity for people to see if they're the ones that are giving the red flags, and if these are behaviors that you're exhibiting as well. Are you someone who leads with negativity? Are you someone who is violent? Are you doing these things? It's a really good opportunity to kind of say, oh crap, I do that sometimes. I need to work on it.
Yeah, because I think sometimes we're so embedded in the thought that everybody that we're with is the problem.
Yep.
We don't see ourselves with those things, because I've said plenty of times, I would never say I deserve the abuse, but I do say that there are faults that I carry as well. And people say, well, you can't blame yourself. I'm not blaming myself, but I think that we all have to take accountability as well for things that we do within these relationships, and things that we can change a little bit as well. We're at the 31 mark. I want to remind folks who are here and why we are here. If you or someone you know is dealing with domestic violence, remember to reach out to the National Domestic Hotline at 1-800-799-7233. And you can reach us on all social media platforms, as well as our website, loveshouldnothurt.com. If we do not return your call in the timely manner that you need and you are desperate for help, remember that 911 is always the better option. So I want to go over some more of the red flags that I found, but these comments are like blowing up. So I want to look at all of these comments. If we could start from the top and work our way down.
I'm going to pay attention, but I'm reading them.
Yeah, so we can get into some of these comments. Teresa Fetzer, hello, love buckets. It says, well, giving folks a chance is embedded in us on a regular. So that's what we hope for. We are all working on ourselves, right? So we are assuming or lending over that other folks are too. Oh yeah, of course. I think that's why so many of us allow things to happen, because we're believing we're going to give them a chance. Like, oh my God, you see the red flags oftentimes, especially in abusive relationships, but you always think, no, that could be something that could be fixed, or maybe that's just something that, that's going to change, or I'll change it. Like I said before, like thinking that we can change people or force them to be different than what they're showing us, like bluntly in front of us.
Yeah. But I think too, it's like, we need to be okay with saying that we just don't like certain things. We don't always have to change it. You can look at it and say, I don't like that you behave that way, but we're more ingrained to kind of figure out a way to change it so that we can live with it than to just walk away from it.
Yeah, absolutely. Jessica, pure romance, Jessica. I've had worse. This isn't as bad. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've said that a lot. Teresa, my girl, do it, girl. Well, I dated someone for years and all he ever did was talk about his ex, and I fed in. Shame on me. Now that I'm not in it, I realized this person was putting us in a competition and creating jealousy. Flaming red flag. Why are exes ever being discussed? It's funny because even going into like a new situation or a new friendship, that's something that I've heard often. Don't talk about this person. Don't bring them up. Leave it in the past. And in my mind, I'm like, well, what if they ask me about it? And they're like, no, go in there clean. Don't talk about that. Don't bring it up. And I think it's okay, but I think it's not something that you started with. I don't think you should start a new relationship talking about the past immediately. Like, so this person was terrible to me. Oh my God.
I agree. And I think you err on the side of caution with what you share.
Yeah.
Right. Because if you're a person with some basic values, you're looking for the red flag. Is he going to talk about her? Is she going to talk about her ex really bad? Is she going to show some emotion and love and attachment for them still? So I should be concerned. It should just be, it didn't work out. We shared different values, and maybe, at a later date, we can get into more details, but really, I don't want to talk about that. I'd like to focus on us. And it gives the opportunity to acknowledge it, but not like dive in there.
Yeah, I think that's another bad experience that I've had. I'm going to go back to that comment. I think there's another bad experience that I've had, because I think that I've had the issue in the past of oversharing, because I feel like I have this connection with this person and I love them and I want them to know about everything that's happened to me. And I've overshared. And later on, during arguments, I realized that oversharing kind of turned on me. because now that person is using it as ammo.
Yeah, but also remembering that person is not a great person. A good person wouldn't do that.
Right. And that's what I mean. Like throughout, I learned this is a huge red flag. Like this person is not a good person.
Yeah.
Using that past against you. Well, that's why this person did that to you. And maybe that's why you deserve for that to happen to you. And and it's like, why didn't I realize from the beginning? Like as soon as they were using what I heartfelt shared with you against me, it's like, nothing wrong with that. But I still continued on knowing that this person was using it to only hurt me. Let's see that second comment, right? Oh my God, this is so true. I hear women all the time say he just doesn't want to go anywhere without me. Like, no, is he controlling? I think she's referring to the comment about the fiance, that I was wondering, like, why doesn't he have other friendships? Why am I the only person that he wants to be around? How does he not form other bonds with other people? Why am I the only person he wants to be with?
Right. And I mean, some people might look at that and be like, well, what if he just wants to go with her? What if she just wants to be there? You know the difference. You know the difference.
You do. And sometimes that's not healthy. You have to have other adult relationships with friendships and different people. Christine Lopez, the inconsistency is a major red flag for me. Learned the hard way. I used to always say, it's okay, it's cool, and act like it didn't bother me, but it did. Oh my goodness, yes. I think inconsistency is major for all women.
Well, inconsistency is like, if this is a genuinely busy person and they have things going on and that's different, right? But if this is someone who you just can't count on, you sometimes you don't even get dressed because you're thinking they're not going to show up, there's a problem.
Right. And even to the as you said, not showing up, to the point where that in your time of need, which is another red flag, in your time of need, if you need that person, you can't depend on them. It's like, I'm with you, you're my partner. If my car breaks down, I cannot call you. If I need to get something fixed, I cannot call you. If I need my daughter somewhere, I cannot call you. That's difficult. And it should show you too the place of importance, because as you said, if you genuinely are busy or you genuinely have something going on, you understand that. But if you have a partner where they can't support you at all in any retrospect of your life, it's like,
they won't support you.
Or they won't.
They can, they just don't want to.
Better word. Let's see Isa's comment again. That's what narcissists in them. They will stop seeking you so you can seek them, and then they will say you're too attached and smothering them.
Can't win. Yeah, can't win.
You can't win. Absolutely. Next one, right? Negative people hate themselves long before they hate you. Absolutely. And I think sometimes with the negativity that is in them, whether it's a male or a female, that they go out and they find someone else to spew it to because they feel it for themselves. And then it's like, well, now I have this person in front of me. Good. Now I have someone else that I could just give it to.
Yep.
Men are natural hunters. When they have gotten you, they no longer need to hunt for you. So you have to give them a reason to hunt. I think that's in response to Carmen's, which was, why do men change after getting you?
I don't know. I mean, I guess I get the reasoning under that. Maybe that's a whole other different conversation, but I think I get kind of the rationale behind that.
Absolutely. The worst thing you can do with the red flag is think you can change the color.
I like that one. I
Yes.
saw that.
Yes. You cannot change them. They have to change them. So
Yep. Because there's this thing too called yellow flags. They're like, they're not as serious, and it's red because it's serious. Everything that's with the red symbolizes is stop or don't continue, and yellow is like, baby, proceed with caution. And I think it's really good. You're right.
Which is funny because that is going to lead us into our last video, because that is what she talks about. Let's go into that last video with Oprah.
All the lies we tell ourselves. This is what I'm more interested in, because, in your life or my life, it comes in a different form. And what I was saying to all of these ladies and to you also, if you don't get the lesson, it's a benevolent universe. It will come back wearing a different pair of pants in a different form. It will show up again to see if you really got it. So what is the great lesson for us?
I mean, it really is what Oprah's saying, which is that when you get a red flag or a caution, a yellow blinking light, don't let it go to red. Get it when it's yellow, when the caution is there, that's saying something doesn't feel right. Check in with your friends. Ask them what they think about who you're with. And I'll tell you something, we don't want to do that. We don't want to ask our friends. And I always say this, if you're living a life and having a relationship that you can't tell your friends about what's happening in your relationship, something's wrong. If you've got to keep the secret, something's wrong. It means because I don't want you to know that he's calling me a B. He doesn't really mean that. He only does that when he drinks too much. He's not really an alcoholic. That only is because he was stressed last week. Well, last week turns into every kind of day. So part of it is, again, gathering a community, and I call it a truth commission. I have a truth commission in my life, folks who will tell me the truth even when I don't want to hear it. And we all need that.
Yeah, I have it too.
You know, we need somebody who will say, you know what, that is like not, I mean,
I have
you're
it.
out of your mind right
I
now.
have it, and I am a truth commissioner.
Yes, and I'm a truth, and
You a truth commissioner. You're
got
a
a
truth
commission.
commissioner. Jessica's a truth commissioner. Amanda's a truth commissioner.
But you know, you got to find people that really mean it from a place that they care about you, right? And that's different from people who want to consistently bring you down and make you feel badly, versus people who want to see you grow and do well. It comes from a different place, but and I definitely think you have a commission, because that's hence why we're here today, because the commission was commissioned and we were having a great conversation.
The commission spoke.
And it's not easy. I think it's true to, you know, it's just they touched on a lot. It's not easy to hear that. It's not what you want to hear. And Oprah said, and you know, if Oprah says it, then it's right. Oprah said that you will probably repeat the flags. And I think that validates it. You know, like, learn from the flags, but you're probably going to repeat the flags because karma.
Truth commissioner presente. There's Jessica.
She said that karma will make you continue to live those same lessons until you get it. And sometimes that's what happens. So yeah, truth commissioner here too.
Absolutely. Folks are probably watching like, what? So we had a discussion over this weekend, and we will not get into details, but we had a nice, lovely dinner that turned into so much fun. Yep. And during that conversation, I've always told people who watch, I don't know if everyone knows, but this lovely woman who is next to me is my daughter's godmother. So she is like point blank in my face, like she's my other wife. So she's with me constantly. So the brutal truth comes from those who love you. And we had a discussion this weekend about relationships, my relationships, what I've accepted and tolerated in the past. And if I'm moving forward in new relationships, new understandings, what it is that I should accept and not accept, and things that I didn't, like we said, realize in the past, and things that I accepted. And part of that truth commission that I had this weekend was actually Evelyn saying, if I want to see things for you and what you should and should not accept, make sure that you get this from that person. Make sure you get this from that person. Make sure you don't put aside what it is that you feel or that you want. Know this going in, which is super important, because when I've been in past relationships, the red flags have been like, they were never yellow. They were like bright and red, and they were like flashing in my face. But I put those things aside, because like they said in one video, all the negatives I kind of just put to the side and push all the positives up, and was like, well, this person likes to dance like I do. This person likes to go out and party like I do. They like to do this. But then, we weren't talking about this person likes to drink way too much. This person cannot even function to be at my functions because they've been drunk the night before. And that's things that are red flags for me that I should have seen, instead of saying, oh, he's so much fun. He has so much fun. It should have been a red flag from the beginning, because I grew up with an alcoholic father. That is something I do not want. That's not something that I don't want to wake up to. I don't want to wake up to someone who's drunk all the time, who cannot even function long enough to be a part of my daughter's party because you're sleeping because you're drunk. These are all red flags that were ignored and tolerated, because this person does what I like. This person dances, they do this and they that. And I ignored my core values. So the discussion was more surrounding just that. Remember your core values, Chrissy, and remember that you deserve it. And those words that I took from this weekend, remember that you have all of these things that you deserve to get as well, because you deserve it. And that's why we have a truth to remind us of those things.
Yeah, and I think too, like setting goals. I mean, like enjoying going out and partying was what your short-term goal was at that point. What was really important, and we've discussed that at different points, was in the long term, do you want that to be what you do every weekend?
Right.
No, maybe it's fun because it's so new. Well, your long-term goals are, I would like to advance my career. I have this organization I'm starting. I want to maybe move, and I want, I don't know, get a house in whatever area. Those were long-term goals that were not being really addressed. It was the short term because it fit what you wanted in the moment. Sometimes you have to be careful with that.
You do. I think one of the things that I think after relationships are over, you sit back and you think of things and you're like, wow, what I've looked at my list, it's exactly what you just said. In the moment, that's what you needed. In the moment, it's like, let's 6 years back. So I was 34, 35. And in that time, it was still fun to be out every single weekend, to always be drinking and dancing and doing whatever at that time. I'm now 41, and it's like, I don't want to do that every weekend anymore. I'm tired. I'd rather sit on my sofa and watch TV with you. I'd rather like watch a movie and cuddle. Like, I don't want to do that anymore. And like, I want to go to work, come home, focus on my organization. Let me do my to-do list, and I want to go to bed early. I don't want to be up until 4 or 5 in the morning every day and then can't sleep the next day while I'm at work. That's not the life I want to live. And then you look at the lists and I think back to the red flags. At that time, I still could have another child. And that was something that was placed on the table. I want another child. I never wanted to be a mother of just one child. I want to have another child. I want to be a wife. I want to be married. And as the relationship went on, it was like, I don't want those things. But initially, the representative was there. I want this. I want that. I want to be married. I want another kid. And then now it's years later, and I'm like, I'm 41. Yeah. I never had my other kid that I wanted. I never became a wife. You never married me. And it was like, I knew that going along, but I ignored it. And now I'm 41, and I'm like, everything I wanted, I lost.
Yeah. And I think we get nervous when you start to set boundaries for how long you're willing to accept that behavior, because there's also that chirping of you're being desperate. So if you're like, I'm giving this a 2-year cutoff. Some might say, oh, check her out. Given 2 years, you don't know what could happen. Right. But you might say, you know what, if we haven't moved in some capacity within this time frame, it's pretty indicative that we're probably not going to continue to move. And it could be a move as small as saying that I would like to move into a bigger space with you. Let's invest in a home together. That's a big investment. I realize that. Absolutely. But it's kind of saying I'm willing to take you out of this space and make a space for us, and we do it together. And if you're looking around and you're saying my life is exactly the same way it was when you first walked in, nothing has changed in a negative or more in a negative than a positive direction, this has gotta go. This is too much.
It is. Let's see. There was a comment from Ray. Let's see that. It says, not all men hunt. I was hurt in many ways, and all it does is build a wall, unfortunately, for the next person. Oh, absolutely. And this is why I say that these topics we speak passionately about men being the focus, right? That's what it sounds like tonight. The men are the focus, because I speak in first person. So I speak of my experiences, but with every discussion that we speak about on here, it's truth on both folds, men and women, same sex, whatever the situation, not all of us are looking to hunt. Some of us are just trying to just survive. Like, we've been through so much. It's like, you put that wall up, that's how I feel like I am now. Getting out of that relationship, I feel like my wall is back up. Like, yeah. I'm terrified again, like, I want it. I want the love, and I'm willing to get that love, but I'm terrified. I'm 41 now. This isn't the same Chrissy I was at 33 years old. My daughter is in high school. She'll graduate soon. And I'm like, I'm terrified, because I was having a discussion with someone the other day, and it was like, I'm looking back at my friends like yourself and other people in my life, and you guys are celebrating a 10-year wedding anniversary, a 15-year wedding anniversary. Your kid's going to be 21. You're this and you're that. And I'm thinking, will I have that? I'm already 41. Will I ever have that 20-year anniversary or 10-year anniversary? And you get truly disheartened. And then I think of all of the red flags that I could have stopped years ago and maybe have gotten all those things that I was looking for. So it is pretty scary. He said CMV is only 24 people. I wish I was 24. We had another comment from Isa. It says, rest in peace, Heck and Puti, but I know it's Isa. Hold your friends accountable. Tell them the truth when it's not right, but don't judge them when they don't change their situation. Of course, absolutely. I think that's what Evelyn and the rest of my truth circle has done. They will tell me, but if I don't change, they've never changed with me. So that's something that I think we all need. We need to understand that. That's just like with abuse. You might tell someone 1,000 times to leave, but you have to be conscious in the fact that they may never leave.
Yeah.
Yeah. So before we close out, let's see some more of these red flags that I saw. They never acknowledge your relationship around others.
Oh.
It's like the flag should have been big.
Oh, yeah.
This whole this whole backdrop should be red. They do not acknowledge your relationship around others. Red flag number 1 that I should have seen. Oh man, it's like right here's on my forehead. They often make you feel stupid about suggestions and things you speak of. They need constant reassurance or praise about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They hold you to a double standard. What they
Mm-hmm.
do is okay, but what you do is absolutely wrong. Bad relationships with their family, very controlling or jealous, alcohol abuse. We've already gotten into that. Constant gaslighting. That's
Mm-hmm.
major. That's
Mhm.
major. Together, oh man, I need to put up a bulletin board. I'm like, this should have been red. This just
Open up.
this should have been red for me. I feel like I'm telling my life.
Cut it out.
Oh Lord, it says together in private, separate in public. Man, if that ain't a red flag on the wall, I don't know what is. Lord Jesus, playing house but never wanting a real commitment.
They so wrong.
Oh God, and making fun of their partner in front of others or putting down their partner's accomplishments.
That's it.
Oh yeah, they have a different idea than you what faithful means. They never acknowledge your relationship. We already said that, sorry. They do not allow you on their social media. Yo, what? I found all of these and I'm like, wait, I must have copied and pasted and I realized I was reading my life. My bad. Wait a minute.
Yeah, and but it just had to. You had to be in the position you're in right now to see it outside looking in.
Absolutely. They call all of their exes crazy. We said that. They try to drive a wedge between you, your family, and your friends. Man, if those are not huge red flags that a lot of us oftentimes do not realize it because we're so embedded in the relationship and he's cute and he got a nice body and he does these things that I like, but we don't realize that there's like 100 red flags that we're like smacking them. It's like walking through a field. We just smacking those red flags because we're only seeing the good.
Yeah. And I think that's when it's good, like that commission thing. That's really, that's true. That commission thing is really important because they'll be the ones to sit and tell you, but you have to listen.
Yeah.
If you're someone who's going to hear it, but you're going to have excuses for it, eventually your commission will taper off and step back because they'll be like, they're not listening.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard.
Absolutely. I think that's a big takeaway, people. Find your truth commission. Find your truth commission because you might be seeing a million red flags and ignoring them, and your truth commission will absolutely tell you about yourself. Because
be careful who they are. Make sure that they love you and that it comes from your place.
That's right.
They celebrate you just as much as they're ready to knock you out.
Absolutely. We have one more comment we're going to take, and it's a big one from Christine Lopez. She said, I dealt with that with his friends. When I addressed it, he would try and flip the script and somehow blame me for something instead of owning his wrongs or just being honest. He wouldn't post me on his Instagram, talking negative about my family. It was never ending, couldn't win.
Nope. You were never intended to win that. It never started with you being a winner. It just
absolutely.
I think like even the dealt with his friends, flipping the script, and someone like tells jokes about you and you're the butt of the jokes and then you can't take the joke. It's like you're respecting your feelings. That was big when you said that, because I think sometimes people like to say jokes and then when you respond or you have an emotional response to it, and you're too emotional, you can't take a joke. And that's important. Someone who can belittle you and not see the wrong in that's a problem.
Yes. Margie Montes says guilt tripping all the way. I have one more comment that I see from Love Shouldn't Hurt. That's our producer writing. He says, sometimes your partner isn't even in your own city, so go out and have fun. Well, that's true. He's so silly.
Red flag.
No, it's not their fault. They're far away. He's so silly. Well, folks.
I'm listening to you, making sure that's not an excuse. I'm going to note that.
No, that's where they live. They can't help it.
Commission. I'm just kidding.
Bad idea. So, folks, we're going to do as we always do. We are going to close the show with some final thoughts. I'm going to leave Mrs. Ramos. Qué linda, Mrs. Ramos. I'm going to leave her on the screen. She married Boosie. She got love. Happened. I'm going to leave her on the screen and she's going to give us our final thoughts. And I'm going to come back with a short final thought and some updates of what's going on with Love Shouldn't Hurt.
I guess my final thought and what really helped me with this is that I'm just going to keep doing what I've been doing, because there are definite times, and now I have this really cool title of a truth commissioner. There are definitely times where I'm like, am I overstepping boundaries? Am I not respecting the decisions that this person is making? And should I stop? Should I pull it back? And I will probably still struggle with how to balance that and work on that. But I've realized that it's really important and it's valuable, after all, to be that friend who's coming from a really good place and being honest and telling them honestly how you feel, but from a loving, compassionate standpoint. And then sometimes you have to be that friend that's like, I've been there. What are you waiting for? What are you missing here? We have to fix this, and hopefully have a person who's ready to respond and receive that. A thing I've definitely learned, however, about this is that, and maybe this ties very nicely with Love Shouldn't Hurt, the other person has to be ready to hear and do something with it. So don't give up on them. If they don't receive it, stay around. When things go awry, don't go, I told you so, but instead turn it around and say, how can we make this a teachable moment? And what opportunities existed before this that you ignored, or opportunities where I tried to have you pay attention and you didn't pay attention, and what could I have done better? And how can we move going forward? So I think that this was really a great topic. Like I said, I was really like, I don't really know how I can contribute to this other than I like to get in your business and tell you my opinion all the time. But I've really circled back and realized that there's a lot of opportunities for us as people, friends, sisters, wives, colleagues, sometimes, to just say, I'm concerned, and to voice those concerns, and then hope that they're well received. So thank you, Chrissy, for this opportunity. And I really hope that you are my truth commissioner too, because I'm not perfect. So I know that at times you think I am, but be my commissioner too and let me know the deal. Love you.
I'm in the back cracking up. You're so funny. You know that I'll be your truth commissioner, but I'm also a pleaser. So then I'll be like, but I love you. I'm sorry.
No, I know. It's okay. I'll be like, no, it's not.
I'm going to send you to the back, Amore, and I'll bring you back to say goodbye.
Okay.
Well, folks, thank you for being here. We are at the end of our show. Again, a huge thank you for everyone who always participates, who interacts, who speaks to us. Listen, when I fumble with my words, you guys still stay on the screen, but that's what happens when you're live. Sometimes I just, I don't say everything that I should say correctly. I get fumbled and I get nervous. So thank you for being supportive and still loving me for me, man. You guys are amazing, but I love you. And I always say, you guys continue to fill my cup on the most negative days. You are the reason why I continue to do this. So thank you all. If there's always one positive thing that you find in your day on Tuesday, this is definitely my one positive thing. So if you took anything away from our show tonight, remember to be very conscious of those red flags. If you feel like you're in a situation and you're not sure if they're red flags, go find yourself that truth commission. Someone who's going to tell you, girl, you in danger. Just like they did in everybody knows that movie. I know I'm quoting Whoopi Goldberg. I know, but you need those people who are telling you what you think is hard to hear, because sometimes we don't see those red flags and we end up in 6-year relationships that do just damage and we don't realize it during that time. So thank you guys for being here, for being loved. Before we go and we get into all of the amazing things that are happening with Love Shouldn't Hurt, I just want to put out a huge reminder. Mental health is super important, people. There are red flags in domestic violence. There are red flags in our relationships, with our friendships, with our coworkers, with everyone. Red flags are everywhere. But something that's in the media right now is with Chesley Christ, and I don't want to ruin her name, but the amazing and beautiful former Miss USA who unfortunately took her life. This is such a terrible, terrible, terrible instance. She was beautiful. She was phenomenal. And if you saw her in social media or whenever she was on TV, you would think she had everything. She had everything to live for. She was great. She had everything. But like they say, you have absolutely no idea what someone is suffering from, what they're going through, what's happening in their homes or even in their mind. So please, please, please take note of those red flags. There's so many things that I'm seeing now, former TikToks that she spoke about different things and trolls on her social media and how terrible she felt and how they broke her down. I feel like there were so many red flags that maybe others could have seen. We need to be vigilant. We need to love on the folks around us and remember that mental health is important. Reach out to those people. If they say something that you think is, I'm not sure it's great, give them a call. I will tell you something. I have a million truth commissioners, not only in my circle, but Teresa Fetzer is an avid one. Let me tell you, my girl is a truth commissioner, and she is absolutely one of those folks that if she sees on my social media that I'm not active, or that I say I'm sick, or that I say I'm not great, I can 110% tell you that woman will send me a text message throughout the day. And I can open my phone right now and show you. And my girl is like, listen, just so you know, you are loved. What you're doing matters. I'm telling you from experience, she just wrote this 2 days ago. You are loved. You matter. What you do matters, and you're great. Keep pushing forward. Whatever's making you feel bad, you're going to get past it, girl, because we have people here who are counting on you. Teresa Fetzer is amazing, and I want to give you your flowers, my love, because you are phenomenal. You are not in my immediate circle, but you are in my Love Shouldn't Hurt circle, and I appreciate you for checking on me because mental health is important. So rest in peace to that a beautiful and amazing woman. I'm so sad with this story. I spent most of today just looking at her social media, heartbroken with it. So it is truly sad. Keep your eyes open, folks. Be that truth commission and look out for the people around you. Some updates for Love Shouldn't Hurt. You know, I was having a moment today. I was looking through my own social media and looking at things, and I saw clips from our documentary viewing, and I thought to myself, man, we haven't done that in a long time. And I thought, people still need to get that word. They still need to see and hear this truth. There's so many people who can be touched by our film for 2022. And listen, the location we always use is huge, so we can social distance. Maybe that's something that can happen. But I'm looking, if you have not seen our documentary and you are interested, we are going to start showing our documentary again. That is something that I think is huge, because I think that people need to see and hear the truth about domestic violence. We also, as I stated in the last show, we are looking for those brave individuals who have lived through domestic violence or have suffered in some sort of way and are willing to share their story. We are going to do a second part to our documentary, and we want folks to come out and tell us their stories, and you can be a part of our second documentary. We also are going to start planning a Mommy and Me conference, a day filled of just informative information for mothers and daughters, even young sons who need to hear about domestic violence early on from mental health professionals and different people, so that they cannot be afraid of having these topics. So look forward for the registrations and information coming on that. Our 5K, folks, we have narrowed it down to 2 dates. It will either be the last Saturday in April or the first Saturday in May. So look for that. We are looking for our space, and we are planning for that. Again, if you have someone that you love who was lost to domestic violence, send me your photos to my email address, my social media, because we are going to celebrate those people. We are going to put up pictures and posters all around that 5K so that we can remember your lost loved ones during that day. We are going to start Love Shouldn't Hurt interest groups. I have so many people who always say, how can I be a part of this organization? What can I do to help? Folks, you're going to have that opportunity. So if you're someone who is interested in being a part of our organization and just giving your input and helping, contact me, because we are definitely looking for you folks who are willing to make a change and be that voice in our community. So I'm super excited. We are already planning and thinking of a date for our gala. It was October 23rd last year. We are hoping that it is October 22nd this year. So look for your gown, look for your outfits, because our gala is absolutely something that you do not want to miss. This year was amazing, and we're hoping that every year it gets even better. So those are some updates for you. That was a mouthful. Thank you for being here and watching. We're going to bring Evelyn back so that we can say goodnight, and we will see you next Tuesday. Hello, my love.
Hi. I'm like writing down all the things, like I don't know you.
Like you won't see me every other day.
Exactly.
Well, thank you again for coming and agreeing to be on. I'm sure that your 4-year-old is probably like, where's my mom at? Looking for you.
I'm surprisingly quiet. I'm a little bit relieved and a little scared.
Thanks for giving up your time. We went over an hour by 4 minutes, so I'm sorry. I apologize. I'll give you your 4 minutes back. I'll bring you wine or something.
Okay.
Thanks for being with us. You are a huge part of this, and I appreciate your constant support and love. And thank you for being a part of my Truth Commission, because sometimes I don't see those red flags. So I appreciate you guys always smacking them up.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Thanks for finding my voice to be valuable and my input to be useful. I love being here. So
Absolutely. Good night, everyone. Thank you so much for being here with us. Kisses and loves. We're going to close out the show with a reminder, a moment of silence for the former Miss USA, Chelsea Christie.